Nearly 60 years ago, in a small Wales town, two identical twins grew up together with a special relationship. From a very young age, their parents began to see that they were not like other girls. In this disturbing yet fascinating true account, this is an interesting descent into the intricacies of psychology and human interaction. Join me as we go down this rabbit hole and investigate the tale of the silent twins. In April 1963, a pair of twin girls were born to Caribbean immigrants Gloria and Aubrey Gibbons in a military hospital in Yemen, which was where Aubrey had been deployed in his role as a technician for the Royal Air Force. Their names were June and Jennifer. The Gibbons family moved from Barbados to the United Kingdom in the early 1960s, settling at first in England and then later to Haverfordwest in Wales. Though the family spoke English at home, young June and Jennifer began to speak another language, believed to be a sped-up version of Bajan Creole. The two would come to be known as the Silent Twins for their unwillingness to communicate with anyone except for each other. In the home, they'd talk, make sounds and all that, but we knew that they weren't quite like, normal children, their father Aubrey recalled. In 1971, when the twins were 8, Aubrey was posted to Chivenor in Devon. At their new school, the girls were taunted mercilessly about their skin colour and their silence. The twins soon stopped making eye contact with others, choosing to shut themselves off from social interaction outside of the two of them. They also stopped speaking to their parents and their older siblings, whose questions they had previously responded to when they were younger. Aubrey and Gloria could sometimes hear the girls chattering to each other in their room, in a way that they couldn't understand any more than they understood the girls' silence. As the bullying began to get worse as they grew older, school officials began releasing the girls early, in the hopes they could sneak out and avoid being harassed. By the time the girls were teenagers, their language had become unintelligible to anyone else. They had also developed other peculiarities, such as refusing to communicate with virtually any outsiders, refusing to read or write in school, and mirroring each other's actions. In 1974, a medic named John Rees noticed the girls' strange behaviour while administering a yearly school-sanctioned health check. According to Rees, the twins were unusually non-reactive to being vaccinated. He described their behaviour as doll-like and quickly alerted the school's headmaster. When the headmaster brushed him off, noting that the girls were not especially troubled, Rees notified a child psychologist, who immediately insisted that the girls be enrolled in therapy. However, despite seeing several psychotherapists, psychiatrists and psychologists, the silent twins remained a mystery and continued to refuse to speak to anyone else. In February of 1977, a speech therapist, Anne Trahan, met with the two girls. While refusing to speak in Trahan's presence, the two consented to having their dialogues recorded if left alone. Trahan had the sense that June wished to speak to her, but was being compelled not to by Jennifer. Trahan later said that Jennifer sat there with an expressionless gaze, but I felt her power. The thought entered my mind that June was possessed by her twin. Rees decided that the girls should be transferred to the Eastgate Centre for Special Education in Pembroke, 8 miles away, where an instructor named Kathy Arthur was put in charge of them. Aubrey and Gloria did not interfere in the decisions that were made for their daughters. They felt they had to trust the British authorities, who presumably knew better than they did. "We were never, consulted at any time," Aubrey said. "At no time were we called and said, well, these children are not doing as well as they should, Before we knew it, they were into Eastgate, and we just had to toe the line, as it were." This drastic change didn't improve matters, and the twins displayed the same behaviour as before. The way they behaved had also begun to put severe stresses on their family relationships. Their muteness began to dominate every family meal and interaction, with their older sister Greta often being driven to tears. The behaviour even went so far as to get to one of their therapists. They recalled in a later interview, "When I first met them, there was a tremendous sort of novelty value to them, but that interest quickly turned to anger. Damn insolence was an expression that was once used in relation to the girls, he mentions. It was understandable in the sense that you've got people there sitting in front of you who say nothing. You are getting animated about a particular lesson and there is absolutely no feedback. It's quite threatening in a way. In late 1977, after minimal improvement, their therapists proposed that the twins be separated. Jennifer would remain at Eastgate and June would be sent to live at St David's adolescent unit, 30 miles away. They did not take the news well. Within moments, they were screaming and hitting each other. Jennifer dug her nails into June's cheek. June pulled a chunk of hair out of Jennifer's head. They chased each other out of the therapist's office, shrieking, and had to be forcibly parted. And suddenly, they could talk, or would talk. They telephoned staff members at Eastgate, promising to speak if they were allowed to stay together. They talked to me on the phone for a long time, saying, "Everything will be fine, we'll talk to you tomorrow." But nothing happened. We would walk in the next day and nothing, not a flicker. In March 1978, the separation was carried out. But at St David's, June fell into such despair that she stopped moving almost entirely. It once took 2 people to get her out of bed, and then all they could do was prop her against a wall. Her body was completely stiff and lifeless, almost catatonic. Needless to say, the separation was a failure, at least from the standpoint of rehabilitation. June was sent back to Eastgate, and by the winter of 1979, when they were 16, both girls had left school forever and were claiming unemployment benefit. Upon being reunited, the twins clung even more tightly to one another and became more withdrawn from the rest of the world. They no longer spoke to their parents except for communicating by writing letters. Retreating to their bedroom, June and Jennifer Gibbons spent their time playing with dolls and creating elaborate fantasies that they would sometimes record and share with their younger sister Rose, by this time the only recipient of communication in the family. By the time they were 18, June and Jennifer Gibbons had started experimenting with drugs and alcohol and began committing petty crimes. Eventually, these crimes escalated to arson and they were arrested in 1981. Soon after, they were placed in a maximum security hospital for the criminally insane, Broadmoor Hospital in Berkshire, England. Being hospitalised at Broadmoor did not prove easy for the twins. The high-security mental health facility was not as lenient about the girls' lifestyle as their school and family had been. Instead of letting them retreat into their own world, the doctors at Broadmoor began treating the silent twins with high doses of antipsychotic medicines which caused severe side effects. The girls were treated at the facility for nearly 12 years. Finally, in March of 1993, arrangements were made for the now nearly 30-year-old twins to be transferred to a lower security clinic in Wales. But upon arrival at the new facility, doctors found that Jennifer was unresponsive. She had seemingly drifted off during the trip and wouldn't wake up. After being taken to a nearby hospital, Jennifer Gibbons was pronounced dead due to a sudden inflammation of the heart. She was just 29 years old. That night, June wrote in her diary, "Today, my beloved twin sister Jennifer died. She is dead. Her heart stopped beating. She will never recognise me. Mum and Dad came to see her body. I kissed her stone-coloured face. I went hysterical with grief." June was released from the clinic a year after Jennifer's death. She took medication every day, but returned to speaking with her family and others as if she hadn't spent the last few decades of her life essentially mute. Although when annoyed or excited, she apparently was less easy to understand. She even went so far as to give an extremely in-depth interview to the New Yorker magazine in the year 2000, going over the entire experience. By 2008, she was living quietly and independently near her parents in West Wales. She was no longer being monitored by psychiatric services, had been accepted by her community, and sought to put the past behind her. A 2016 interview with her sister Greta revealed that the family had been deeply troubled by the girls' incarceration. She blamed Broadmoor for ruining their lives and for neglecting Jennifer's health. She had wanted to file a lawsuit against Broadmoor, but Aubrey and Gloria refused, saying it would not bring Jennifer back. By all accounts, June continues to live a quiet but peaceful life to this day. In summary, This was a truly unique true story, where a set of twins created a seemingly inseparable bond to the detriment of everything else. The most fascinating aspect of this story is the almost instant manner in which the remaining twin returned to normal once the other twin sadly passed away. It almost feels as though Jennifer had a supernatural spell over June, which was summarily broken once they were parted. Their lives were the tale of a whole that divides and cannot be made one again.